Shock Piece: The Search for Freedom, a novel by C. Nguyen. Chapter 13: The Northern Communist Soldier. Days and months went by, and Trin forgot what had happened as everything had taken place all at once. She lost track of time. There were still talks, discussions, and rumors among the Southerners, behind closed doors, as most had no other means to gather information. Only few had radios to listen to, which secretly connected them to the outside world. Relating to his thoughts while walking home on the last few days of the war, Nguyen said to his friend, "It's like seeing a bad movie in which the actors and actresses are acting from bizarre scripts. They don't know what to expect of their roles, and the director cares nothing for his final production. He's just happy creating a mad scene. In effect, after leaving the cinema, the viewers remember only seeing something horrendous, and everything else is a blur. They do not even want to record the experience. It is plain ugly, an event to be forgotten." "Yeah, isn't that strange? And that's exactly how it's affecting us," Kai agreed. "Everything seems unreal. Many of us are amateurs, untrained actors and actresses being shoved out there onto the set, not knowing what is going on, looking stupid and lost. But some are viewers, and some can act remarkably, and I don't know which ones are luckier." It became clearer that most of them had tried deliberately to forget those dark days, and buried deep in the back of their mind the tortuous images from that period of their life, the period of play acting. Go and ask the Vietnamese Southerners, the boat people, in latter days, if they could remember much of what had happened in detail. A fraction here and there was all they had kept. No one seemed to remember all the details. The few memories that remained were those that were not so painful but still significant. However, there were days Trin remembered very well in this disturbing period. Trin's house and almost every other household in Saigon got into an arrangement to accommodate one or two Northern soldiers as a matter of course. It happened a few weeks after the invasion, and might have been the way the new government exerted control over the Southerners during that critical early period. A soldier's station placed randomly here and there within the civilian residence would keep the defeated in check, snuffing out any rebellious conspiracy before it hatched. Especially a house that had a retired government official and soldier of the former regime was under scrutiny, and that was Trin's house. His name was Sin. The soldier walked up to Trin's house one day, introduced himself, placed his AK-47 down in a corner, together with his rucksack, and since then had taken up residence in the kitchen as comfortably as in his own home. No one dared to say anything, and so he stayed. He was only 19, young and shy. At first, the family was very reluctant to have any conversation with him, intimidated by his presence and afraid of revealing too much information that might harm them, especially Nguyen. "Hey, I saw him looking at our grandfather clock like he has never seen one like that before," Luke excitedly reported to Nguyen. "Shh, don't talk too loudly," Nguyen reprimanded his brother. He was wary of the Northern soldier. Being in the same house with him was like an itch that he had to refrain from scratching. However, Mother was polite to him. She was generous in sharing with him the family meal, but she kept her distance like the rest. He was quiet and used his time polishing his AK-47 to a bright shine. He usually sat on the small stool that Mother had once sat on while waiting for Nguyen's homecoming at the front door, and he looked about with a half-eager and half-mystified expression on his face. He was curious about everything going by, but had no one to talk to. He was a lonely soldier. He knew that they were wary of him, but they did not know that he secretly had a similar feeling about them. He felt inferior for his lack of knowledge about everything here. Everything was so strange. The South and the Southerners were completely different to what he had imagined. From what he had been told by his Communist Party and great Uncle Ho, and through his entire life, Sin had believed that the South and the Southerners lived in poverty and oppression and were a backward civilization. In fact, what he had witnessed in his stay here right now had proven the opposite. Liberate the South and reunite the country. He was told that the citizens of the North had to fight in the war for those ultimate goals. Putting all your devotions toward the Vietnamese Communist Party is showing love for your country. He had seen billboards all over his hometown, reminding the peasants of the loyalty they had committed to the party. Following the Vietnamese Communist Party and loving your Uncle Ho is the duty of a patriot. He was taught those slogans from an early age. Family was considered an insignificant vehicle in the state government system. The party was the universal essence, and its vitality was utmost importance. Sin was always reminded of his party leaders. Time moved on, and as the weeks passed, the children started to be curious and became friendlier to him as children normally are. Sin was very pale, almost greenish, as if lacking in vitamins. He was about Juan's size, skinny and diminutive, and Juan was only 16, 2 or 3 years his junior. The 4 kids used to form a circle on the floor in the kitchen, sitting cross-legged and talking to him on almost every subject. They were as curious about him as he was about them. They tentatively asked him about things in general in the North at first, but as time went by, they got bolder. "Do you have any motor cars at all in the North, comrade?" Luke started, stressing the word comrade importantly. He clearly took pleasure in the new terminology of the communists. "No, we are very poor," he answered timidly and quietly. Sin was honest and truthful with them, unlike many others who would have boasted, "Oh, plenty, we have so many of them that the streets are jam-packed all the time," as if proving their imaginary richness to the Southerners. Indeed, later on, the South knew that they were all just wishing for a bicycle, the only precious belonging, if they could have had it. Many of them made up lies with outrageous stories that turned into hilarious jokes for the whole South to laugh at when they discussed the North. "Do you have motorbikes?" It was Trin's turn to ask. "No, we only have bicycles mostly." "Oh dear. So do you have a bicycle at all, Comrade Sin?" Luke was enjoying his questions and his comrade word. Sin hesitated, then continued. "No, I wish I could have one." He was fidgeting on his feet. His eyes were hazy. He was surely dreaming of a bicycle of his own, Trin thought. "Really? So what do you have in the North?" Kim was surprised at his answers. We have nothing very much. We had to put everything toward the war, as Uncle Ho taught us." Sin was clearly uncomfortable, revealing this information. He started to look down at the floor, visibly embarrassed. "Hey, I like the sound of comrade," Juan remarked boisterously, suddenly changing the subject. The kids were all aware of his awkwardness, and they did not want to embarrass him further. "Yes, it has a nice ring about it, hasn't it?" Trin agreed. "Right, Comrade Luke?" I'm not sure if you're right, Comrade Trin," Luke said in a more serious tone, his eyes twinkling. "Why, Comrade Luke?" Kim joined the game, equally straight-faced. "Because you're a girl, Comrade Trin," Juan teased, keeping his tone level. "Nonsense, Comrade Luke and Comrade Juan," Trin declared evenly and reprimanding them. "May I remind Comrade Luke and Comrade Juan that sexism is not allowed by Uncle Ho's teachings. Right, Comrade Sin?" "Yeah. Equal opportunities and equal rights for all, Comrade boys and Comrade girls," Kim announced. She was quick to copy one of the slogans that had been hanging all over the country. Sin smiled at their exchange. The southern accent was peculiar to him, and he liked those kids. They were friendly to him at least, even though he knew they were teasing him, but they meant no harm. He remembered the first few weeks staying in their house, when everything was unfamiliar to him, from the kitchen utensils to the stove, the sink, the water faucets, and even the toilet. The house was so beautiful, with running water from the tap with the turn of a handle, unlike his house in the village where he had to get water from the well. The cutlery was elegant with fine bone china dishes and bowls, and the furniture was attractive. He did not dare to sit on the lounge. It looked so grand. There was no way he could have afforded those things in his life. The Southerner's lifestyle was indeed far more advanced, and they seemed to be extravagant, with many conveniences. He was not sure why he had to liberate them. They seemed to be comfortable as they were. There was one time he stood in front of the washing machine, scrutinizing its minute dials and buttons, quite fascinated. "That's for making ice cream," Trin walked past and told him offhandedly, mischievously enjoying showing her superior knowledge to the people of the other side. "Ah, but what's ice cream?" Sin asked. "Oh my, really? Get real. You don't know what ice cream is? Are you sure?" Trin was aghast at his question. She had only wanted to tease him at first to see if he knew about the washing machine. Truthfully, Sin had never tasted ice cream. He had grown up in the remotest rural area up north and had difficulty getting simple necessities, let alone an extravagant item like ice cream. It was obviously unheard of. I don't know what ice cream looks like." His face reddening. "Okay, if you give me some money, then I can run out and get 2 ice cream sticks for us. One for you and one for me. And then you'll know what ice cream's like. Is that cool?" Trin was pushing her luck, becoming more mischievous. She liked to test the boundaries. She would love to have an ice cream on this humid afternoon, and there would be a better chance to ask. Then there was a time Sin went to the bathroom and was surprised at a strange object in the corner about knee-high above the door. "Comrade Luke, what is it?" he asked Luke, pointing to the white oval basin, a puzzled expression on his face. Sin had used the term comrade to address him initially, and that was the reason why Luke liked to tease him later on. "It's a fish tank," Luke replied out of mischief. The little boy enjoyed his game. He could not help but play practical jokes on these simple, unsophisticated, primitive northerners. "But what is this fish tank doing here without any fish in it?" "Oh, we don't have any fish because they all died without food during the chaos," Luke continued with his joke. He winked at Trin, motioning her to keep quiet. Poor Sin. He had never seen a toilet suite in his life, and he believed Luke wholeheartedly. He had been squatting down to relieve himself for his entire life. Minutes later, he went out to see some of his mates at the nearby school they had turned into their camping base. And when asked the same question about the toilet suite, he declared confidently to his commanding officer, "It's a fish tank, Comrade Major." The Major, who had the right to occupy the principal's office with a private and proper toilet, did not know its function and did not want to ask any Southerner, afraid to show his ignorance. He had to go to the common restroom with the soldiers and squat as he used to. The Major was delighted at Sin's intelligence. "Ah, is that so?" He patted Sin's shoulder joyfully. "Go and buy some goldfish for me then, Comrade Sin. I've never had a fish tank in my life. It is such a beautiful tank." When the 4 colorful fish finally arrived, he carefully put them in a bowl and was happy to look at them swimming about every morning. He was very proud of his fish tank and pointed it out to everyone who came to visit him in the office, until one morning he went rushing out of the office, astounded, his face bright red. "Bloody hell! My goldfish have gone!" He had accidentally pressed the button and flushed the toilet by mistake. There went the 4 fish down the sewer.